I'm going to show how to get one-click pizza with the Dominos API. We've got the pre-programmed hits to the Dominos server that allows you to request information and get information back. And so you can build menus and build orders. But if you're going to really do a lot of different things with options and different, do I want mushrooms or pepperoni? If you're going to do a lot, you might as well just use the Dominos app, which is pretty good. I know what store I want to order from, and I know what I want to order, and it's going to be the same every time. So I'm going to set up a one-click pizza so I don't even have to go to the app. First thing you notice when you come to this package is a reference to a pretty Dominos API. They actually credit Madeline Cameron with doing a lot of work. You need to use the Dominos library to actually put in an order. And they say that hers is good for if you don't want to accidentally make an order. That's not really the benefit. The benefit is that she's parsed some of the objects that come back from Dominos. So when we're searching for stores and searching the menu, it's better to use her API. And then we use the Dominos library when we're actually going to put the order in. So I'm going to make a new folder, initialize it, and then I'm going to install both the Dominos library and the PIZZAPI library. We now have both of our dependencies installed and we can get started. I'm going to suggest we need 3 files. One is to find the stores in our area. Another is to search the menu. And another is to actually place the order. I'm going to copy over the boilerplate from Madeline's page to get started. For finding the stores, I found out that you can use the PIZZAPI or the Dominos library, except the PIZZAPI library doesn't work if you don't give a zip code. So you can put a zip code that will work in both. You can put a city that will work in both. But if you put an address and not a zip code, the PIZZAPI library won't find it, but the Dominos will. So let's use the Dominos library. And by the way, let's use the actual full address format because that'll give us a distance between the stores and our house. Let's build our find file. I'm just going to use this address. There's a couple layers to this object. By the way, it always says success is true if it returns anything, so you don't really need that. So let's just go straight to the result. We then have these 4 keys. We've got stores and we've got address. I want to highlight address first. We're going to write JavaScript that just fires a pizza right to your house. So we're going to be hard coding some addresses and some options. So let's get your address in there and then let's view this to make sure it's getting picked up properly. If it is, it's going to feed the postcode and that's how you know that it got it. So now that we've got address, let's take a look at the stores that were returned. We have got an array of objects. So why don't we run a for each so we can see each of the elements of this array. Get the same output, but the difference is now we're actually taking each of these elements individually. Let's pull out the relevant information. I'd like to see the store ID, the address, the phone number, and the distance to our home. So we've got a jumbled mess, and the reason for that is because the address description has these new line characters in it, which pops our console log to the next line. I'm going to filter those out. So I'm going to do that by creating a new string. And I'm going to print that string. Let's build it up one piece at a time. So there's the store IDs. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the address description string and look for the index of the new line character. And I'll make 2 strings. One is everything up to that new line character. And then the second will be everything after. Now in the second string, we'll actually have a second new line character, but we won't care about that information. So I'll just delete everything after that second new line character. We'll keep everything up to that character. Then make it a little bit more readable. There you go. Now we can add a tab and a phone number, but because those string lengths are of different lengths, we get these phone numbers out here. My quick way of handling that is we're going to imagine some column out in space. And for every character that the length of the string does not equal that length, we're going to add spaces. We're going to add a space to the string for each character that it's less than 50. And what that will do is space out our phone numbers. So let's say we chose 52. That actually will move our, I did move our column out. There. That's strange. It just moved 6. Ah, that's because the tab is still in there. Got it. Right. So there's 50, there's 52, there's 56. So this is how we can make a formatted column. And last, the phone numbers are the same length, so we can just add a tab and put the number of miles. So there's our stores we can select from. And no surprise, we'll probably select store number 1. So that's all we're going to get out of this file. We're going to find our stores and pick one. And what we need is the store number to use later. Let's now use the store number to pull the menu for this store. We're now going to switch to menu. And let's go back to the reference. You can get info on the store. I haven't found that to be too relevant. Now it says, oh, get menu. It sounds like a good thing to do. This is actually a very complicated object. I don't think we want it. I would say, let's go with the get friendly names. So here's our menu file. And let's change our store number. We were going to go with 1524. So let's just hard code it right in. 1524. Let's run it. Okay, so here we go. Turns out that there's nothing about this in the documents, but when you say, we're saying we're going to do a new store object, and it's going to be a new Pizza Pie store, and then we say the store ID is 1524, it says we don't have an ID, and I thought, wait a minute, maybe we should be putting the ID into here so that it can initialize the variable with an ID, and you see that it works. So you say, fine, let's get rid of this and run it. And it says there's a callback required, but we're giving it a callback. I don't know why, but we can't initialize this ID unless we do it externally. And here it turns out that whether we give this number or some other dummy variable, it still works. So my point is the docs don't say it, but you need to put something in here as a parameter to get the function to work. Obviously just because it's expecting it, and that's it. So let's dig into this data. Before I go further, I caught myself on something. I mentioned to you we're using 2 libraries. We're going to use the Dominos library and the Pizza Pie library. When we are finding stores, I like the Dominos library better because it doesn't require a zip code. But when we're using the menu, watch how we have this object that has some codes and some names. But if we switch to the Pizza Pie API, they have done some work for us so that we get a lot more information about what's there. So change your library to Pizza Pie, and let's run this again. You'll see the object looks different. And what we're going to have is detail on each of these codes, including price, which we didn't have before. So let's go ahead and disaggregate this array of objects to see what we have. First of all, it starts with result, and result is an array of objects. So let's see what we have for each. We're now accessing the individual objects, and the objects are a code with another object. Let's pull this apart a little further. I'll tell you what, I'm already seeing enough of what I want to see. For each of these keys, we don't even need the key because we've got a code. Well, let's just print the code and the name and the price. I'm going to do the string again because we're going to have to do some formatting because the names are different lengths. Let's console log the string and see what we get. Okay, now we're getting something that looks more like a menu. But like I mentioned, we have different lengths here. So I'm going to run the same technique I did here, which is basically building a buffer into our string. Why don't we come out for, well, let's experiment. Let's call it 15 and see what we get. Okay, we came out to the 15th column, and I'm just going to guess. Let's come out to 60 next. So after we add the name, we'll come out to column 60. But we haven't done anything. We want to add the price. Okay, 60 is not enough because you see we hit pineapple. You never want to do that. Okay, and we're still getting it. You know what? It's not critical. It's fine. We'll leave it. So from here, it turns out you can order a pizza. We're going to make an order next, and you can make an order and grab a pizza and then add different options, but I don't actually want to do that. I just want to get the ultimate pepperoni as is. So that is code that I'm going to keep this code right here. I'm going to use that for my order in the next part. So again, what we've done is we've written code to find our stores. We get a number for the store, which we put into our menu code. We run our menu code and we get a list of options with prices. We decide what we want, and we're going to grab that code and we're going to attach it to an order. So let's build our order. The Dominos API is going to parse our address and turn it into an object that can be used. And they go into that here. Here's different ways to do it. You can do it this way as well. I'm gonna choose this method. So let's bring our Dominos library in. And you'll see what we want to do here is we're going to create an address, and we're going to attach that address to a customer. Then we're going to create a new order based on that customer. Then we're going to add an item. Then we're going to verify our order, check the price on our order. Then we're going to add a credit card, and we're going to place the order. So let's get our address done first. There's something missing from this documentation that I'm going to show you in a second. If we save this file and run it, it shouldn't actually work because address isn't a thing. And this caught me off guard. But if you scroll down, you realize that in all cases, for instance, when we want to have we refer to customer here as pizzapie.customer, not just customer. So up above, this should say a new Pizza Pie address. This should say a new Pizza Pie customer, but it doesn't. So you have to remember to add that yourself. So to start again, what we want to do is we want to say this is going to be a new Pizza Pie. I'm going to change this to just address. And it's going to be a new pizzapie.address. Let's check it. No problem. Well, let's console log our address. Okay. This is my git bash, which is giving us the weird colors, but basically we've got an address object. It's valid. See, it found the zip code. No problem. And next we're going to create a customer. Come back to our boilerplate. Customer is going to be a name, number, and email with the address that we just created. So again, instead of saying a new customer, we actually want to say Pizza Pie customer. And the address is going to be not some address, it's going to be this address, which of course can just break down into this. What do we have for a customer? So there's a valid customer. Barack Obama, whatever. We've got an address. We've got a valid customer. Let's keep going through. I'll turn this off. Now we're going to create a new order. Create a new order. So there's two ways of doing it. One is you feed the function an object or you name it later. I think this is a little cleaner. So the customer is going to equal the customer, which of course is the equivalent of that. Delivery method will be delivery, no carry out for us. And the store ID we got before, right? Yes, let's go with 1524. This will be 1524. Looks pretty good. Order method. So look, the phone number did not parse out. So I think this is going to go to them as a string. Now, if we have a valid order, let's see, let's add something to it. We want to buy something, right? Remember, we already did node menu, and we can come back again, and I want to get the ultimate pepperoni, which is, this is the code for that. So I'm going to copy that. Actually, I'll paste that here for now and come back to our boilerplate. Let's add a product to our order. This is the product that I want. Now this is where you can add things like mushrooms, jalapenos, whatever you want. I'm not going to do that right now. And you can see this is a method on order. So we've created the order object, and now add item is going to add this to the order. So if we move our console log down, you're going to see our order now has that product attached. And see, there's our pizza attached to our order. The next thing to do is it's not verify, it's validate. Next thing to do is validate this. It's a simple process. You just say order.validate, and then you give it a callback function, which is, you know, give us a result and we'll log the result. We're not going to say we did it. Let's log the result. And let's run our order. Okay, so we're getting a result from the server. And it says status 1. That's our clue that this is going to be valid. Now, I want to show you something. I worked on this before, and I was doing promises and looking at async await. And the whole point is, if you have nested asynchronous activities, you go to callback hell. I don't think it's that much of a hell. We're going to validate, then we're going to price, and then we're going to place the order. And instead of working on all the resolves and rejects and error handling, I'm just going to go ahead and have one function called the next function. We're going to console log the result. I notice there's two things you're going to care about. You're going to care about status, and you're going to care about status items. The reason I'm showing you this is because you're going to have to dig through. I think I was not digging through these. I was actually coming to order. And whenever you have a store is closed, it will have a status -1, and then status items will explain the store is closed or something else. So let's say let data equal result.result.order. And code is 1. They auto added an ID. That's not a problem. Order ID and price information removed. That might be what the warning's for. If data.status is not equal to -1, which is a failure, then we're going to continue on. Otherwise, we're going to say order failed validation. So what does continuing on mean? Continuing on means we're going to take the same order object and we're going to check the price. You can come back to the reference. It's the same structure. And instead of price, let's console log the result. Again, we're going to validate. If we don't get a -1, which is a failure, we're going to go ahead and try to get the price, and we're going to console log the result of that. Let data equal result.result.order and print data. And you notice that it comes back now with pricing information. Menu, surcharge, net, tax. Here we go, out of delivery area, status -1. This is a good reason to make sure your address is working first. I'm going to pull this store number, 263. This is a demo address, and it's saying the store can't deliver, but I guess tough living in Missouri. I'm about to put in my address, and it's going to work. So one thing I found out, when you come through this area, they talk about adding the card info now. It turns out that if you add the card info at the top, this will fail. So pricing an order fails if you've attached your credit card. So you don't want to attach your credit card until after you've priced the order. And lo and behold, one of the things you have to give for credit card information is the amount to charge. And you don't know that until you've priced it. When you do pricing, it returns amounts to customer. I actually want to build it out here so I can see it better. So you're obviously going to put your card in there, and we're going to create a new object. And as I mentioned, so these are all things you can do without going to the API. You can put in your personal information. I'll put my number, and it's going to return Visa here, and I put the card number. This one cannot be done until we actually go to pricing. So I'm going to pull this out, and after we've come back from pricing, it will now be valid. At that point, I am going to say that card info.amount is equal to that number. And you see that the last thing they do is they push it onto the order object. This, we're going to wait to push it until we actually have that last value. Go ahead and fill this out, push your information in. And I think that at this point, fake information is not going to work. I'm going to stop and put my own information into this order. What we'll want to do is when we get back from pricing, we've got our pricing information, we're going to add that to the credit card information. We're going to push that information onto our order. Let's do that inside of here. I'm no longer going to console log. What I'm going to do is just attach that information, and we're going to be calling order.place. It's the same thing as before. It's going to return an object that has a result, and then it's going to have an order. So I want to view that. Order placed. So this code with the proper information is going to order us a pizza. I'm going to go through, put my information. You do the same, and we're going to hit node order, and we're going to see if a pizza shows up. And I'm going to type node order. Wish us luck. Order placed. My pizza's coming. And what's neat is if you come up through this object, you see that they give you the estimated wait minutes. I actually took this code and put it into my OhioIoT app, and there's a pizza button. And when I click the button, it calls that JavaScript on the server. It's already got my credit card information and my order preferences. So all I do is hit this button and a pizza shows up. That's all. I hope you enjoy your pizza, and I hope this makes it a little less painful to dig through that API. I'm going to upload this code to the OhioIoT GitHub. So that will be at OhioIoT/pizza.git. Enjoy your one button click pizza delivery. How's it going?